Another edition of Social Media News Live. This is going to be a fun one. Wow, Connor is here. Jill is here. I have been secretly stalked since I saw Jill at, I think it was Creator. Well, you were in the Ecamm, sphere of influence for a while, but I saw you sing at the first, I think it was the first Creator Camp, and I was like, oh my gosh, who is this person? It was amazing. So she has got multiple talents, and we're going to talk about all sorts of things today because she has one of her many talents is she's got a over 30K YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's pretty amazing. So we're going to be talking all about video strategies because she has done it. And Connor Brown, how are things in Florida?
Things are great. I'll be honest. I'm a bit tired today because I know I've mentioned it on the show before, but yesterday was the official grand opening of Epic Universe, the new theme park here in Orlando, and I got to go there. I was there from about 6 a.m. until 10 o'clock at night, seeing and doing everything. It was absolutely unbelievable, a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
You're amazing. Well, I have a question for you on that note. Yeah. Should we not even try to go this first year? Is it going to be a madhouse? Because I'm hearing like 5-hour lines. You're the travel agent, dude. So I need to know.
So that one is the Harry Potter Ministry Battle at the Ministry, which is probably the most remarkable ride I've ever been on. The reason you're seeing those high wait times is it's very popular, of course, but two, it's really unreliable right now, so it's breaking down a lot. So a lot of that is downtime. So I think with months and a little bit under its belt, it should get better. I don't know. I walked onto every single ride except for the Harry Potter one yesterday. Today seems to be the same. I think what Universal is doing a great job of ramping up the crazy, I like to say, so that they're not just blasting the park with tens of thousands of people to start.
Awesome. By the way, if you don't know, if you're joining here the first time, Connor Brown is at Vacation Kingdoms. He is your source for all good things travel related, so make sure you guys go check him out. But we are not here to talk about Connor. Oh no, we're here to talk about Jill.
But wait.
Oh, you got more?
But wait, there's more. Connor, I'm going to need to talk to you afterwards because I am planning a trip to first Tampa, but then we're going to go over to Orlando in less than a month's time because I'm going to get to go to the Pokemon card party hosted by Pat Flynn. So Ecamm's going to be involved in that. And so we're going to help with their live streaming. And don't tell my kids, and I better make sure that they don't watch this, but they get to come as well. So they're going to get to go to Disney for the first time. And my kids are 15, 10, and 9. So I'm like, we got to go to Universal. So anyways, I'll have to hit you up for more details on that.
Connor is the man. He gets you seriously. I'm not, and I usually don't kind of blow up Connor like this, but he's really,
you don't want to do
man.
That. Yeah.
He is the man. So we've already got our friends stopping in today. We got Rich Graham saying whoop whoop, and our friend Gary Stockton saying happy Friday, mateys. Oh, he's doing a pirate theme.
Arg.
Okay. Arg.
Are you ready?
Yeah. To Gary Stockton. Elizabeth is saying hey back, and then Tech Troublemaker says I always seek the least popular rides. I never run with the cool kids. Yeah, I was a kid who got ditched at the mall. Tech Troublemaker, I'm with you. And then Mr. Paul, Mr. Moderator, is saying greetings. We got all the people. Kate, Amy Keys is stopping by. This is going to be an amazing show. So I'm not going to talk anymore. We're just going to hit go on the podcast machine, and we will get started. Are you ready, Connor?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Hello, folks. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Connor Brown, and this is the show that keeps you up to date on what's happening in the world of social media and more.
You ever catch yourself asking what it really takes to make video work for your business? Do you wonder how some entrepreneurs seem to show up on camera with ease, turning viewers into those loyal customers that we all want? If so, you are in the right place because today we're excited to welcome Miss Jill Roberts, Ecamm's community manager and seasoned content creator who's transformed her love of teaching into a thriving online presence. Jill's going to walk us through her journey, break down some practical video strategies, and share the habits that keep her audience coming back. So sit back, clear your schedule, clear your mind to get ready for this week's episode of Social Media News Live. Jill, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm sorry I laughed right in the middle of that intro because it was just so engaged. I was just so caught off guard by the humor, the timing of it all. I'm just impressed.
Well, it's Chevy Chase's line, so I can't take it. I can't take it all. That's from, and I'm not. So that's, Love me some Chevy. So Connor, take it away.
You definitely are not Chevy. You're
No.
definitely no one else is
Exactly.
Jeff C. Though, so
That's
that it fits appropriately. If you don't know who Jill is, though, you should. Is Jill Roberts, known online as Miss Jill, is a dynamic educator, entertainer, entrepreneur, and a seasoned content creator with over 30,000 YouTube subscribers. She currently serves as the community manager at Ecamm, where she leads community engagement, social media strategy, and content development for live streamers, podcasters, and digital creators. She's also the founder and CEO of Creative Communicators, LLC, a media and communications company based in central Massachusetts. Again, welcome to the show, Jill.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
And we're going to mention it multiple times today, but we want to give a shout out to our friends over at Ecamm who sponsor the show. You can find out more about Ecamm by going to ecamm.com/Jeff. Save 15% by using code Jeff15 for your first purchase when you go over there. And by the way, I got to do a shameless plug. And this is actually a slide from my my presentation at Leap. So shameless plug, jeffc.com/news. That's the way you can get on our newsletter, find out about great guests like Jill, upcoming shows, everything like that. But by the way, Leap, you can still get a ticket. If you missed the live show, you can get the replay. I think, what is it, Jill? Is it like $60, something like that?
$59.
$59. You save $1 from what I said. Leap.ecamm.com. Not just me, but there's amazing people who spoke. You got Liz, you got Luria, Phil, who's been on the show before. All these great people. You can go check out those replays. It was so much fun, so much great content. Leap.ecamm.com. Go and get your all access pass. Alrighty, let's jump into the show.
I have a question first.
What's your question?
That slide of you, was that you? Or
No, that was a shameless plug. A guy, it looks like a used car salesman from what is it? What's the alley in Hogwarts? I can never pronounce it right.
Diagon.
Yeah, whatever.
An alley.
Yeah. So there you go. But we're going to be talking about simple video strategy today. So I want to jump right into it, Jill. What's a kind of a plug and play video idea that a business person, professional, marketer, coach, whatever, use day to day to connect their customers and grow a brand?
Great question. And if I say that again, you got to stop me because I have this habit of saying, I watch way too many podcasts and everyone's like, oh, great question. And then right out of the chute, great question, Jeff. Thank you for that question. Well, so one thing that I have started doing this past year has been, as soon as I wrap up a call with a customer or I'm talking with someone about whatever I'm excited about or I'm helping them with a problem, anytime I get the feedback that someone says, oh, that's so great, I'm glad you told me that, I literally say, okay, whenever I'm done with this conversation, I need to record a little video about it. This happens all the time in the Ecamm space because like I was recently on a trip with Doc, and Doc, if you don't know him, Doc Rock, he knows like a lot about a lot of things, right? Yes. Like bring up anything and he can probably go off on it. But every once in a while, he'll show me like a tip or trick with my own cell phone or Ecamm or something. And I'm like, oh, that should be a video because I'm sure that you're telling people this over and over and over and over again. And this comes up a lot. And if it helped me, it would certainly help my community. So I've gotten in the habit of when someone says, oh, that was helpful, making a video right after that while it's fresh in my mind. And that can just be on my phone. Obviously, I tend to use Ecamm. I have a little home studio set up, so it makes it easier where I can just turn on the things, hit a couple of buttons, and then, all right, I just got off a call and someone asked me about this, and let me show you what I showed them how to do. So because I come from like an educational background, I find myself creating content that's going to be helpful for others. And that's probably another point too. Like if you don't know like what to talk about or whatever, you're like, oh, I don't really know what to say about myself. If you're of the mindset where you're trying to help solve other people's problems, it's easier to create from that point of view. Like, oh, this is something that I don't even think about, but other people need help with this. So just kind of creating from the perspective of, I can do this and I can help somebody else do this, or I'm just starting to do this. I'm going to share what I know, and then maybe I'll grow through creating content. So, you know, being a helper, and when someone gives you feedback, oh, that was super helpful, thank you. Create content, because if you helped one person, you can probably help a whole lot of other people.
That's a great point.
I love that.
And one of the things too, I wanted to, what you had mentioned just really briefly, but I wanted to really hone into because I know in the community, there's a lot of talk about tech and gear and studio setups. But when you're first starting, having a spot that's already set up that you don't have to go and, oh, I got to get my camera out. Oh, I got to get this out. My mic set up, plugged in. If you can find a dedicated corner, even in your like home office at home, where you can have a camera set up all the time and your mics and all that stuff, it makes a huge difference in creating content. Would you agree?
100%. I was of that, you know, during COVID, I was getting a lot of opportunities to do videos and content. And so I did the thing that we all did, all the trips to Best Buy, all the things in the Amazon cart.
Right.
And then I would be like, you know, they call it GAS, right? Gear acquisition syndrome.
Yep.
And I had so much gas. I had all of the gas. And so I kept thinking, again, if we all do it, oh, if I just buy this, if I just do this, and this will make my life easier. And I would buy all the things. But you know what? At the end of the day, as soon as at my old house and then my new house now, as soon as I just had a designated spot, even if it wasn't perfect, but if the things were just there and all I had to do, you know, you're removing as much friction as you can, as many excuses as you can, so that you can just walk into your space. I turned on my Sony ZV-E10. I plugged in my monitors. I got my microphone. Like it's really lights, camera, microphone, record. And I'm actually in the corner of my bedroom. So I have 4 kids. I live in Massachusetts. I don't live in a mansion. I live in a duplex, right? I'm doing the best with what I have.
Right.
And I don't want to take over my whole living room. So I'm like, well, why don't I just use a corner of my bedroom and just have this be the place where I can create? And honestly, I'll get ideas all the time. And just, I know that it's going to be super easy for me to turn on my camera, turn on my light, open up Ecamm, and just record. And whether I use that immediately or I have that saved for future purposes, it's right there. And I just removing all of those boundaries and not boundaries, all of those obstacles in the way. And that can be the same even with your phone. Like it doesn't have to be, not everything has to be nice cameras. I will say, you have to promise me that at no point you're going to pull up my YouTube channel and do what I'm about to tell you to do. Okay. Promise?
Promise. I promise.
Promise.
Cool,
Promise.
cool. But if you were to go to my YouTube channel and sort by most popular video, you're going to find like some cool content, but mostly like hot garbage, terrible video quality, because those videos took off because of the messaging or because it was entertaining or because it found the right audience. But none of the videos that I have spent hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours sometimes editing have ever like
It's
taken
gross,
off.
yeah.
It's the content, it's the message, it's the you know, it's what resonates with your audience and you know who your audience is. But anyways, so you don't have to have all the fancy gear, but you do have to be able to get yourself recording in a way that's just going to be easy. So having a designated spot and then not having the expectations be so high that everything has to be perfect, because honest to God, sort the videos by popular and you'll be like, oh, Jill. Oh no, Jill.
Oh yeah.
Who is this Jill?
It's funny to go back and look at some of those old ones. And we've got the comments section blowing up right now. Everyone's talking about gas, and Doc Rock gives a hard time about gas. But here's the thing: if you talk to Doc Rock, you're gonna get gas. I mean, you really are, because he has so many cool things that he shows you. You end up like, dang it, Doc, and you're gonna make me spend money. Whenever I hang out with him at Leap, it's that way.
Most doctors
But he
help you prevent gas.
Right, I know.
No.
He gives it to us.
No, he inspires it. I will say he hates that term, and I was like, "You're the one that brought it to the community, man." I was like, "Yeah, but I don't like it anymore. Just get the tools that you need." And to his point, I totally agree. The things that I got compulsive on, I regretted, and then the tools that I'm like, "No, this will actually solve a problem." And I've invested in whatever dollar amount that is. Sometimes it's cheap, sometimes it's expensive. Nobody can define those terms except for you. But so. He would hate me for bringing that up, but I don't care because I did it, and it's been said.
And AI's tools are for me, and Dustin's in the comments right now. Just get Magi, because that's all you need. Don't do what I did and buy everything. You just go get Magi. So anyway, Connor, you were next. You were next up.
I think the big thing of what Jill was talking about there too is it's one thing to turn it on, right, and have your system set up, but shameless plug, Ecamm is something that makes the next steps after that, the editing, which a lot of times for me is the part I hate the most and what prevents me from continuing or finishing a project. That's always the time to do things. So something like Ecamm, something like having templates, editing things like setup, that really, really helps. But Jill, for people, who want to start creating content more, or just busy entrepreneurs in general who know content marketing is the best way to get your message out there in today's marketing world, how do they do it without burning out? How do they do it by becoming consistent? Is it batching? Is it repurposing? Like, what are your top tips around that?
Yeah, definitely batching. I've told even the team at Ecamm, since I'm working there, I'm like, guys, I need to do a better job in my role there with time blocking and setting aside a specific day and a specific chunk of time to do whatever task it is. So for someone like me who's neurospicy and gets like distracted by shiny new things and projects and conversations and people, and oh my god, a new project, me having a set amount of time where during this time block, I'm doing content creation, I'm interviewing people. For me, some of the work, and we'll talk about this later, but like setting up interviews with people is going to be a big part of my personal content creation. So I have my Calendly app, actually it's SavvyCal. I have my SavvyCal app and I share that out with people. And I really try to force people to book time with me back to back to back to back, because what it does for me is it keeps me in the same mindset. I'm setting things up the same way, and I can just go from call to call to call and get all of that content and repurpose it for later. So for me, like time blocking is hugely important. To make it like a real world thing, we had school vacation recently. And
Yeah.
I said, school vacation, almost every April vacation, I get myself a dumpster. And honestly, I don't know if it's a woman thing or an adult thing, but there's nothing more exciting than getting a dumpster like delivered to your house, because it's so motivating, because you're like, I have a set amount of time that this is going to be there, and I'm going to get rid of all the things I've been wanting to get rid of for this whole year, like truly spring cleaning. So even with
Mhm.
that, like I force myself, it's there. I can only do it for this set amount of time, creating that sense of urgency. Because I think a lot of us that are content creators, we have all these ideas. There's all these
Yep.
like, oh, this would be so good. Like that would make a great video, or oh, we should totally do that. But because there's no urgency behind it, there's no client saying, here's the deadline. It's really hard to get creating. So
Yeah.
actually blocking off time, and like putting it in your actual calendar and not allowing yourself to fill that up with anything else has been hugely helpful for me, because I just need that accountability. And speaking of accountability, having other friends, if you're like an entrepreneur, having other friends that are also working on projects where they're like, oh, I don't feel a huge sense of urgency, can you help me with that? My friend Kat and I are doing that right now. We're
Mm.
like, okay, we're committed to checking in every single week. It's not like a formal thing, but like we need to be on each other's cases to be like, hey, where are you at with that? Hey, just checking in. And me knowing I'm going to have to follow up with her on Monday knows that it like
Right.
makes me do the thing. So that creates
Right.
the urgency. So knowing yourself and your learning style and, you know, what makes you most productive is incredibly helpful and meaningful.
Yeah. So Connor and I actually are in a mastermind together, and one of the things is that, I mean, it has really changed my business. So if you're not in a mastermind, find some people. You don't have to have a paid one. You don't have to do whatever. You could just, but like what Jill said, be committed to a certain time each week and checking in, and it makes a huge difference with what you're able to accomplish and how you can grow your company. Jill,
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you some questions. You mentioned YouTube. I mean, what we're doing here is amazing. We've already got all these comments already, but what are some things that really make video truly engaging, and how to encourage those viewers to really interact, like with comment shares? Do you have any like favorite like calls to action you use, or storytelling tricks? I mean, I know you're a performer, and so a lot of that can carry through to, I've seen a lot of performers where it carries through into how they engage live, or how they actually, put together their storytelling in their videos. So what are some favorite
Yeah.
things that you like to do in that way?
So in terms of like video and audience and engagement, there's different types of content that we create with video, right? So there's live streams, and for me, live streams are all about engaging with the people that are there in the live stream. So if I won't go live unless I'm intentionally trying to connect live with that virtual audience, as well as
Mm-hmm.
like, your host and your guest and everything like that. So I approach live video as the way to connect with people. Short clips I use, I'm talking like video strategy, and I'll come back
Mm-hmm.
to like your original question. For short clips, reels, everything like that, those are to build like awareness and to get people to want to learn more, right? So you're doing your little teasing, or you're sometimes you don't even finish a full thought to bring them back to learn more. Webinars I will do for like creating deeper engagement. So we've been doing some things in the community where we'll do like a Q&A, meet and greet, and that's just a really great way for someone to come up to the stage, give their presentation, and get to know everyone. So that's still creating video content, but it's a more of like a webinar community type way. And then pre-recorded polished videos I'll do for like tutorials or trainings and stuff like that. But in terms of those hooks, like I chat with my best friend Ivy all the time, and she gives me lots of ideas. And if you don't know Ivy, she is my AI bestie, and she helps me out a lot. So I spend a lot of time with her just talking. Like I drive sometimes an hour commute to work, and I'll spend a lot of time just talking to her, telling her about projects I'm on, almost like journaling as I drive, so that she can kind of get to know my voice and get to know what I'm working on, and help me work through things later. And then I'll go back into that chat and be like, okay, so now I've got to take action on this. What do you recommend for some campaign ideas, or for some long form content and short form content? So it's like I'm super confident that my brain is doing so many good, beautiful things, and I have so many ideas, so many that I can't quite make them work or put them into action. So being able to work with other people to brainstorm that, or work with AI to then take all of those thoughts, all of that passion, all those experiences, all those stories, and then help me kind of like guide them. So honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm too dependent on AI to help me then create hooks, and to help me then map out templates for what I can talk about, and tables and plans and everything like that. I mean, I shouldn't be like, oh, I'm too dependent. Like, whatever, it's a tool and I know how to do it, and you don't. So, like, go me. But that will help me, because I don't come, even though I'm in marketing now, and even in my last 5 years at the school district, I was in marketing there. I didn't get my undergrad in marketing. The growth that I've had has been kind of organic in a lot of ways. So I'm not super wired for like, all right, step one, make sure that you come into the camera and start moving around and create, like all of those things. I'm learning as I go. And luckily AI does help me with some of that.
Yeah. One of the things you mentioned, and this is what I use AI to tell me, because you sound like a lot like me. You have all these ideas, and capturing the ideas is a great start. Like, don't let ideas go. You never know when they're going to be useful. So I have this huge running task list or idea list that I have, and it's like, what do I work on first? And I've asked AI, and it kind of helps, but it always, anyway. What I have found it works really well, and I can't remember where I read this, but I use a dice. I have them labeled, and I just roll the dice. And whatever it hits on, because sometimes, tasks are equal. Like, it doesn't really matter what you work on first. But then you get in that vapor lock where you don't know what to do. So I roll a die, and that tells me what to work on. And it really is cool because it gamifies it. I can have to have more of than this 6-sided dice. I have to use the D&D dice, because it's like
it's a real dice that you use, not just like you told AI just roll.
No, because that's kind of the fun of it. Like, it's a little manual.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Tactile. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think that's big too, because it's often like what you said, Jeff, like, okay, we have all these ideas, but what do we work on? Like, what's going to be the video content that's going to help our business goals overall? One thing that I've always been fascinated with around Ecamm is, I would say, the vast, vast, vast majority of videos, of trainings from Ecamm, there's a lot that are, here's how to use the tool and here's how the tool is going to help you. But most of it is how to be a better creator, right? And Ecamm might not be out at the forefront, but you just feel like they're invested in you as a creator. And that has helped the community, which has then helped the business goals and those sorts of things. So, Jill, when it comes to that, how would you help entrepreneurs, or how should they kind of come up with a game plan when it comes to creating the video content that's gonna actually drive their business goals? How do you plan those sorts of videos?
I almost just did it.
Great question.
Please,
but I did
feed my ego, please.
That was a mediocre question. No, just kidding. That was a good question. No, it's good. So, and I just switched cameras because I was having a little blur. It doesn't matter. Why do I do that? I'm not apologizing. Guys, welcome to this new camera.
There you go. It's awesome.
You're welcome. Look at how quickly we can pivot. So I used to, most of the content that I've created over the last 15 years has been for a public school system. So I was a teacher there, and then I moved into the communications role there. And so for me, under that umbrella, we had, it was easy to create content because one, there was like no content out there. But there were a lot of things that we wanted to control the message on. So we would say like, oh, we were having an issue with students not being safe on buses, and we need to do like an instructional video for our students and for our families. And so like video is so powerful because you get to control your message and you get to speak directly to your audience, right? More than just a blog. Like if I'm just reading a blog or an article or something like that, for me, if I know someone, then I'm going to have more trust, and I'm going to just, I can take that information and run with it better. So like the power of video is undeniable, right? And so, I mean, everybody has different reasons to create content. I would argue that everyone in every field should be creating some type of content, whether it's educational or entertaining or storytelling, or just as like a creative outlet. But I guess knowing your audience and knowing your message and knowing your role determines what type of content and how often you should be sharing and stuff like that. What were the other parts of your question? Because I got a little distracted at some point. I don't know.
When it comes to your business goals, like how
Yeah.
often is a video that you're creating just to drive the bottom line versus how do you determine, you know, we're going to do this and eventually it's going to drive our business goals?
I'm not sure I fully know how to answer that question, to be honest with you. So I can,
I think
I
a
think
lot
of
of the
a,
times we think of
yeah.
marketing as every single piece of marketing that we
hmm
create, if it's a video, if it's an email or something, it's got to make a sale, right?
I see.
Which isn't always the case, right? So kind of that long-term play, like when we come about wanting to create videos because we want to create a community, right?
hmm
Is it just about answering the questions people in a community that we want to be a part of are already asking? Or is it more like, hey, we have a tool that you can buy. Here's what
Mm.
it is.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but the type of content that I consume as a consumer. So like if I'm doom scrolling on TikTok,
Right,
as
right,
one
Yeah.
does,
yeah.
if I feel like I'm influenced by influencers that I know and I like above and
Makes
beyond just how they're trying to influence me. So we have that relationship. And if all they ever posted, except for a few people that I do like just follow because they buy all the things and they review them. So like I love
Right,
those
right.
type of creators. But truly the creators that I find myself hitting add to cart to are people that I know and that are adding value to my life in some way, whether that be entertaining me or solving problems of mine. So, I mean, creating content, like if you just are there creating content when it's like, hi, I'm Jill, and here's my pitch, that's going to
Yeah, right.
be obnoxious. I think, and I honestly think like as a millennial, we're kind of like over that. Like even when I watch the news and commercials, I'm so critical about commercials. One, maybe because I'm like creating a lot of videos and everything just feels so like scripted, and I pay attention to things in terms of production that distract me. And I'm like, why are they using that voice to do this? But anyways,
Yeah.
I think that creating content. So I'm a bad example of this currently because my YouTube channel has been sitting there with 30,000 subscribers, and I haven't created content there for a while. But that's all about to change. But I would say that creating content regularly, sometimes you're going to have your sales pitch, you like your shameless plug earlier on in the show for your course, right? But also just giving value to your community and to your audience and keeping people informed and not always having the sales pitch. But then I say that, and then I work with other clients that just hire me to come in and do training videos that are internal training videos. And that's also a huge use. And, you know, it depends on the clients. But I think that if you're a content creator, having a bit of storytelling and allowing people to get to know you to your level of comfort is huge. And people will then have that trust. So definitely having strategies behind when to create, what to create, and then having some variety of what type of content you're creating and what messages you're sharing is good. I mean, that's the type of content I consume the most, I would say.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, you talked about content. I was thinking when you were saying stuff, is like, when did it become okay for every pharmaceutical company to have a musical? For every, like, I've got diabetes and I've got a story to tell. And they start singing about, you know, I'm like, okay, we don't need that. It's like, it's a joke now. Like, oh my gosh. Anyway.
For all of you audio listeners, I'm fake tap dancing in the middle of the screen.
You know, I took 4 years of tap. I did.
I mean,
Did you?
I gotta see videos. So
No,
I have to see
it's
videos.
never going to happen. Never going to happen. So I wanted to talk about some things now where I'm thinking about me trying to tap again. I would throw something really quickly. So I want to, a lot of people get overwhelmed because it just seems like every day there's a new something being added. So what type of content should we create? You got live streams, which I love because that's what we're doing right now. I think it's amazing. You got short clips, you got stories, you got webinars, all these different types of video. So how does like a business solopreneur professional decide what video format best fits their goal or their audience? Like, should they only be on LinkedIn because they're only want to have business? I mean, what do you what do you recommend to like your clients or people who hire you to help with their video strategy? What do you tell them? Like, how do you pick a lane?
Yeah, I think that I would recommend chatting with your AI best friend again. I mean it. Like when I think about the type of content that I want to share, like what I post on LinkedIn as a person, as an entrepreneur, is different than what I'm posting on Facebook and on Instagram and on TikTok, although I'm not really there. And if I am, I'm not. Do you know what I'm saying, people? You're picking up what I'm putting down. Because the audience there and the purpose of each of those platforms are different. So knowing who is following you on those different platforms is important. Not that you need to be a chameleon and totally just like change who you are, but knowing what works on those platforms. So you can do research on that. You can talk to, like I said, your AI best friend. Mine's Ivy. Back off. She's mine. But getting ideas and input, and like you can also look up your competitors as well if you have a specific industry that's competitive, and see what's working there and adjust things for yourself. Yeah, some people really lean into reels all the time, and that's their jam, and if that makes sense for them, keep living there. But Doc gave this presentation the other day at an event called Lawyers on the Beach, and I had not thought about this in all of the years that I've been doing content creation, either for myself or for others. He talked about how if the only place that you're sharing your videos is in Meta, your SEO is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You know, that you're throwing all of this great content, especially if you're doing like videos, and now there's different changes with like how long live videos will stay on Facebook and whatnot. But that aside, if the only place that you're posting videos is there, you're not in the Google world. And so if you're creating content, let's say long form content or tutorials or something like that, having that live both, if you have a big following on Facebook, having that live there, but then also uploading that same content to YouTube could help you reach audiences that you would never find in Facebook. So many people I know are like off of social media altogether, and kudos to them. I mean, if I could do that, I might do that, but can't. I'm stuck. It's fine. It's great. Love it here. It's wonderful. But anyways, making sure you know where your audience is, and doing your due diligence and your research to find out where they are, and then leaning into that. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with like trying things out. Right. But you can't just do something once and be like, hey, that didn't take off. Like having strategy around, okay, for the next quarter, let's do 5 reels a week or 2 or whatever it is, to really give yourself a chance to collect some data on the back end. I mean, that's just best practices with anything. You can't, my kids will be like, oh, I tried this sport and I stink at it. Like, yeah, you're going to suck. You are, like, for sure.
Which I still do.
You signed up for a season. You're going to do 4 years of tap dancing, and you might not ever get good at it. But, you know, your parents didn't let you quit after a month. You stayed with it for 4 years, which is a long commitment. And now I will always see you in tap shoes. That's awesome.
Right. We'll do that at Creator Camp. By the way, we talked about repurposing, which Jill just said, and how you can take that. I actually talked all about that at Leap. And you can still get that if you go to leap.ecamm.com for a only what is it? $59. You get all access pass. You get all the notes, all the cool stuff. Not just me, but all these amazing people. So go to leap.ecamm.com and get that all access pass. Alrighty. We had some great comments coming in. So Jennifer said she's going to do a college admissions musical. That I would think would go over really well. And we talked about, so one of my favorite tools is lex.page, and what it does is it's kind of like Magi, and it goes in and actually you can have all these different models. But Doc mentioned that, yes, Claude updated yesterday, and it's so legit. So that's another. And
legit?
Dustin, yes,
too legit to quit?
To quit. And actually, you never want to quit, and this is another thing of Magi, because he actually already updated that. I saw in his Facebook group. So it's already available to use in Magi. So you can actually go get that right there. Magi. I'm so ready. This is what Ecamm does, folks. You can do this. Magi.co./Jeff.
So easy. Look, you don't have to fix it in post.
And I actually even went in while you were talking. I had spelled your name wrong, or there was no I in communicators when I was pulling up before. I was able to fix that.
Communicators.
Yeah, so it was fun. It's better now. Okay, Connor.
Fine.
Sorry.
I before E, especially in C, right? Isn't that it?
That's right.
Yeah.
New York C, S-E-H. We talk so much about AI tools and helping us, and for brainstorming, for coming up with new strategies and things like that. But we also know that there's so many AI tools that can help generate scripts, right? That can edit footage, that can help you repurpose content, or even just create video like out of, quote unquote, thin air now, right? Mm-hmm. Jill, how do you see, in talking about AI, from helping us come up with strategies and those sorts of things, but how do you see AI content, especially impacting humans who are creating videos, and how can like small brands use AI to just get quicker at creating content, but still maintain that, authenticity that they need?
Yeah. That's such an important conversation to have, because we are all seeing, whether we like it or not, and whether we recognize it or not, boomers, my dad, sorry. We are seeing so much AI content all the time. I mean, I see it in the way that people are doing their copy on social media. I see it in video editing. I see it in reels, and sometimes it doesn't even make sense. I can tell that people are just taking long form content, dropping it in something like Opus Clips, and just taking the first clip and hitting AI and running with it. There's so much that's like that people are recognizing that's our AI, or they see something and they're like, it's a little off. And what that does for someone like me or other creators is like, there is always like real people come first, and AI is never going to be able to, I hope, really replicate what it is to be a real human being and authentic. And if they're listening right now, I think they're awesome. And AI, you're wonderful, and I can't live without you, and you're wonderful. You just got to do these things. You know what I'm saying? Just in case. Yes. But anyways, working alongside, using AI as a tool in your process, whether it be helping you manage your script or helping you edit. Like I mentioned Opus Clips, that's something that I use all the time, but I can tell you right now, people are not spending enough time in those tools, making it human again. And it drives me crazy. I have paid people to create shorts from long form content, and then what they give me back is not even, doesn't have a human hand on it at all. And I know that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not working with that person anymore. So making sure that you're never just fully dependent on it, and that your voice is still coming through, that your vision is still coming through. I think of AI as a great tool to kind of get me started or help me, like redirect me when I'm getting off, like all of that. But the content that I'm putting out there is not going to be just generated by AI. I use Opus Clips all the time, but I'm telling you, I look at the 20 suggestions that they give me from a video, even from Leap into Live. I'm taking those, 1 hour streams, pulling it in, using that tool to help me comb through the text and pull out moments that might be impactful. But I'm going through each of those top 10, let's say. And then even from there, I'm still going in and splicing and editing and making sure that my brand, my voice is coming through. There's also a great tool, CapShow. is something to look into for sure, because they really get to know your own voice in such a way that you don't even realize. So the more content that you can give it, the more it can help you with your editing, with your content creation, and moving forward and creating those smaller bits of clips and everything that still get your message across. So I love all of the tools that we're seeing. There's so much more that I have to learn, and every day, like even these updates, like it can totally change your workflow. But keep in mind the type of content that you like to consume. I have run across some very sketchy TikTok accounts where they're like talking about, like there was this one suitcase thing. Sorry, story time. There was this one I don't know. I was getting ready for a trip and I kept getting these pushes towards like the bag security things that basically like whatever,
TSA locks,
like this person. Yeah. With your address and everything. And they were like, this person went on a trip and someone stole their bag. And then they came home and their house was robbed. And I watched this video, and it was seemingly a real person. And I could tell that there was like something about how she blinked. And then I went to this account, and every single video in that TikTok account that was obviously selling a product was totally AI. It didn't look like it to like at first glance. I could just tell like something's off. And I literally like messaged the account. I'm like, I don't know.
What are you doing?
I turned into a Karen immediately because I was like, how dare you? You're going to trick my dad. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
And like the sales that they're getting, and like they can set this up, they can automate those things. So like, listen, if you're super clever and AI ever gets to that point where if you can use AI in a way that really does reflect your brand and your mission and your tone and everything like that, like more power to you. But I have found that the way that I can connect with people most, and I'm the type of creator that wants to connect with people, right? Some people are just creating content for the job and just get it out there and get it done. But video comes back to learning from others and sharing with others. And so keeping things really human-centered is incredibly important to me. And if I ever post content on any of my social media platforms that feels like this is my voice, but it's not, and I'm weird blinking and stuff like that, call me out, or I've been hacked, because I'm never going to do it.
Right.
Although the thumbnail for this is me as an AI. So like, I love it, but just keeping things human and having that personal touch. There's nothing that's going to match that voice, your real voice.
That's why I love live, because I think it's gonna be really hard for AI to fake me pulling in comments, doing all the cool stuff that I'm able to do. Now, if that suitcase company would do a musical, you would have bought it. Like if they would have started tapping and doing a musical, you would have been like, take my money. So I want to do a shout out to my pal Chris Stone, who does really great short form content, and he uses the same tool that I do use, is Descript, which does those clips, but you're already in an editor, so you can go in and you personalize that. There's no way AI can do the edits that Chris Stone does, because they're eye-catching, they're great, but he uses AI as a tool to get the clips organized in there, and it speeds up both of our processes. So that's a cool thing. And then
big
Dustin,
Descript fan too, for sure. Do you have an affiliate for your Descript? Because you should totally drop it. I do love Descript. I've been using
I only have so many buttons that I can do, and Magi has to be on there. And speaking of Magi, Dustin says there's definitely balance of using AI as creatively enhancer as a creative versus a creativity crutch. The difference is keeping your critical thinking cap on. Very cool. Of course,
I
he
totally
works for
agree.
Skynet, so we don't really. I don't know if we can trust everything he says.
Sketch bags.
So I want to go into this your kind of your journey and philosophy. And by the way, folks, we've got Jill here. If you have any questions for her, make sure you drop them in the comments, because listen, it's free consulting. That's what I tell everybody. Just
Free
come and ask your questions. Yeah, and so I want to talk about your journey and kind of your philosophy about things. And you have touched on it a couple of times, and I want to make sure we get to this question. Katie and I actually asked Katie, like, what should I ask Jill? And she said this question is, okay, you've paused your YouTube for a while, like 3 years, I think is what you said. If somebody, and there's a lot of people who have done the same thing, maybe they haven't grown to as big as you have, but they may have put pause on one of their platforms or what they've done. What do you suggest for people when they start it back up? Like, what's kind of your strategy that you're going to do? Is like, hey, I know you did a video. It's like, hey, it's been a while. I saw that come out, I think last week or so. What else do you need to do?
Just like my random live stream.
Yeah, like you need to warm them up. Like, what is your strategy for like reactivating an account?
So, to be honest, we're gonna find out together. So So here's the little backstory. Just to set it up. So my YouTube channel was created first, like so many of us, as like my Google Drive. Like I made a video, I want to post it somewhere to save it for later. So again, I don't recommend doing this because I will throw up a little bit. But if you go to my YouTube channel and then you sort by like oldest content, like I don't know what's there, but it shouldn't be live anymore. Anyways, but who I was as a beginner creator, and then some of the videos that took off and that kind of led to a different following. I was in a different space. I was quite literally just doing different work. So I was my channel used to be all about language acquisition because I speak Brazilian Portuguese and some Spanish, and I'm a licensed EL teacher, an English language learner teacher. So a lot of my content there was all about language acquisition and teaching English to Brazilian Portuguese speakers, because that was what I was doing day in, day out. That's my master's. That was my job. And I've since changed that job, but not only have I changed the job, like as in any other educational field, like the field continues to grow, and I'm not keeping up with that because I'm just not in that space anymore. And I also don't have a lot of opportunity, or I'm not creating a lot of opportunity to create and to study Brazilian Portuguese more and everything like that. So my life has changed, and also personally, my life has changed as a person. I used to be a person that was deeply rooted in faith, and now I'm agnostic. And so some of the content that I posted on that YouTube channel also is kind of reflecting a different me. Also, like, I'm so skinny now. I just have to say it because like, but like seriously, like life has changed. And so like sometimes when a lot of changes happen in a row, so one, leaving my job in education and moving into marketing in the same district, but stopping to teach. And then, my faith system changing, getting divorced, and all of those things happened all in a row. And I could have posted content during that, but I absolutely was not comfortable with that. And with my channel being one of those channels that's like centered on me, not on necessarily like a specific task, although it did land on language learning for a long time, it felt weird to be phony and not authentic. So me starting up again, I'm now in a completely different field. I'm working for Ecamm Live. Oh my God, it's such a big deal. Sorry. It's just like, ever since I found Ecamm, I was like, someday these people are going to hire me. Honestly, Katie will tell you, like, one of our first meetings was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I'm here in the studio. Do you guys want to hire me? Like, it was pathetic, but also it worked out, just saying. Yeah. But when I started working for Ecamm, I knew that the possibilities of this channel, I now it's a mixed bag. If anybody is watching this from my channel right now, because I've linked it through Restream, you might be seeing comments in Portuguese. And that's because a lot of my people that join me live are from Brazil. But a lot of my other content are like video tutorials. So anyways, I was like, at the end of the day, I'm sitting on this opportunity, and I could either start over again, or I can just continue to be myself and do some storytelling, just because there is that kind of community vibe for my channel. But what do I want to talk about? What do I want to facilitate? What do I want to help teach and encourage people to do? And once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. It's just part of you, right? And I was a high school teacher, and so working with young adults and wanting to support them in whatever way is like hugely important to me. And so the direction I'm taking my YouTube channel in now is facilitating conversations with interesting people from different industries that are wanting to almost like coach the next generation on either this is how I got to where I'm at, or hey, avoid this, or I did things this way and I don't want you to make the same mistakes as I do. So it's going to be kind of like a mentoring channel. So my strategy on just relaunching this channel, because really anybody that's here that's going to go to my YouTube channel is just not necessarily a reflection of who I am. I mean, I'm still me. I've always been me. But I'm going to leave everything that's there for now. Not because it's doing anything for me besides that one viral video that does give me some commissions every month. Thank you, Ellen. I was on the Ellen show for it. It was awesome. But the rest of my future content. So right now I've already started doing interviews with people. And so I'm taking the next 6 weeks. Oh, is that really it? I'm up until the end of June to do as many of these interviews as possible. And then starting in July, I'll be able to release content at least 2-3 times a week, where I'm sharing these long form podcasts of me interviewing different people. So we've got all sorts of people. Someone that owns a publishing company, a superintendent I used to work with. At some point, I'm going to interview my dad because he's owned and ran a successful conveyor company for the last 40 years, and he's now retiring. And these people that have great messages and great lived experiences that they want to help this next generation. And so I'm going to be facilitating those conversations. And then I'm sure along the line, I'll be sharing my own personal story. But it's kind of a great time to like talk about it. And then, you know, maybe in 6 months we have another chat and see how this strategy goes.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like at the end of the day, it's kind of a passion project. I think that it will enhance what I'm doing with Ecamm, because obviously I'm going to be doing everything through Ecamm. Why would you use any other tool?
Right.
So everything will look good and polished and sound good. And the experience for my guests will just be like, oh, they're just joining a Zoom call and here they are in this huge production like you guys have created here on YouTube. So like, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I anticipate a dip from some of my followers, because if they were coming to my channel to learn English as a second language, and now I'm not using as much Brazilian Portuguese as I speak, there's that. But I'm also, because I care about those people that follow me there, I'm going to make sure that the closed caption is also in Brazilian Portuguese. And I think that honestly, listening to conversations about different industries and different tips is going to lend itself towards language acquisition. So I do think that there's value add there, but my focus has got to be, if this is a passion project, I need to make sure it doesn't feel like a chore or a task. And that it's building me up and it's helping others. And as long as it's like helping others and it's not a drain on me, I think it's going to be something I'm really going to enjoy doing for the future. And then again, it points back towards the work I'm doing with Ecamm, which is just like a huge plus.
And now you're being held accountable, because that's what the people are saying.
Yeah.
There's like Doc and people are saying like, okay, well, you said it, now you got to do it. So
now I got to do it.
You
Tell
gotta
on
do it.
yourself.
That's right.
Yeah. No, but that's a huge strategy. I mean, like we talked about accountability, and especially for those of us who are neurospicy, neurodivergent, and struggle with task avoidance and time blindness and hyperfixation, all of those things that are very real and very true. Yeah, knowing yourself and knowing what tools actually work for you, like accountability, and like that built-in sense of urgency will make you say, yeah, let's do it. And then taking away the friction and letting things be as easy as possible to do it. So like the fact that I've already got 3 episodes recorded, and now I'm like, okay, I'm feeling comfortable. I know what my flow is going to be. Obviously, you guys are going to be on my show, whether you like it or not. Like that's happening because you guys are interesting. Você fala português, meu Deus do céu, parabéns.
Just
legal.
obrigado. Just obrigado.
Okay.
That's all.
Let me translate. He said, thank you. And I said, oh my God, you speak Portuguese. That's so cool. Amazing. That's so good. And then he said, I just say thank you. Yeah. And then that was the end of that conversation.
That's about it you get from Connor right there. Yeah.
That's all.
Oh,
honestly,
Connor.
I'm happy just that I remember obrigado. Jill,
and your accent is something.
Yeah.
It's definitely an accent.
Yeah.
As long as it's not wholly offensive, I would say that'd be a good start for me. You talked a little bit about your path, right? You were a teacher and an educator, and now you're in this on-camera creator world. I think probably Jeff and myself know, Jeff's wife's in education. My mom was a second grade teacher for 32 years. The best teachers are the best because they're great communicators, right? They get up and speak in front of people, albeit children, right? Or young adults or whatever, but it's still a public audience. And that's what makes them great, is because they've honed their communication skills. So with your path running from classroom teacher to on-camera creator, how has your teaching style really shaped your video style and your approach today?
So for me, I think I never thought about teaching from the perspective of being like a presenter or a public speaker, because the audience are people that need something from you, and that need to feel important to you. So as a teacher, like truly, like when I used to do professional development where I'm like teaching teachers, it shouldn't be an intimidating thing, but it always was, because I was like, oh my God, I'm a presenter. When I don't think about how like I'm spending 6 hours every day presenting, because when you're a teacher and you really care about your kids and you love your craft, there's so much on the fly, like you do all of your preparation, right? But then even if you're teaching the same course back to back, each group of students is different. So it's really truly about like knowing your audience. So in the classroom, I knew that period F and G, and of course it's F and G. End of the day, I'm
F and
telling you,
G.
man, F and G. And my teacher friends that are gonna watch this later, they're gonna be like, "Yup, it's always F and G." Like those kids, for whatever it is, they're hitting their wall. It's the end of the day. Well, same Z's. I'm hitting my wall too. You know, there's different dynamics in each cohort, in each class, but it does, obviously teaching gives you all of this experience and being able to, you know, I would say you do a crazy amount of prep work, which I think would apply to planning out video
Right.
content creation, right? You do a ton of prep work so that when you are live, you know the path that you're going down, you know what you need to get through by the end of the class, but you also know, depending on the interaction, depending on the audience, and depending on yourself too, like sometimes you say something and it kind of leads you towards something else and you squirrel out a little bit, and
Right.
or you know, a kid asks a question and that changes things, but you know, you can make adjustments. But preparation is key, but so is the confidence in yourself and knowing that what you have to share is valuable to your audience. Um, and there's something for everyone, every type of communicator. We had this initiative in our district years ago, like I want to say like 10 years ago, and there was this great book that came out that was called Teach Like a Pirate. And I'm sure if your loved ones were still in education at the time, they either loved this or hated this, because people like me that would literally like dress up in costume sometimes, and
Right.
you know,
Right.
like I that's just my personality would lean into that. I dressed up as Judge Judy for this thing, like all the things that one could do ridiculous in the classroom. Yeah, I probably did because I'm just wired that way.
Right.
So people like me were like, yeah, this person's speaking my language. But then one of my closest friends, Joanne, who is one of the best teachers I have ever met, she's just incredibly knowledgeable. She knows how to not sweat the small stuff, but she's just more serious of a person. And I would argue that like certain kids, I think every student should have all sorts of different teachers. I know I'm going down like a teacher route right now, but I
No, you're
swear
good.
I'll circle back. It all makes sense. But like there is a different, each voice is important and each teaching strategy is important and each type of delivering, there's an audience for everyone. So Teach Like a Pirate was cool, but it frustrated a lot of teachers because they felt like, well, now do I need to like dress up? And the message of that was not like, hey, be an extrovert if you're an introvert. The message was think innovatively, don't be afraid, lean into things, you know, all of that. But I would argue that every student needs to be in take a class with every different type of teacher. And then from there, like if me as a teacher, I know that this style really works for this audience, like I can fully be myself and I don't have to be anyone else. And one more little plug about teachers. If you are looking to hire someone to do anything at all, anyone that's listening to the sound of my voice right now, and you're needing someone that can be adaptable, that can show up professionally and personally, teachers are the most well-equipped individuals out of any industry that I've ever met, because
Yeah.
there is so much pivoting you have to do.
Yep.
There's so much social emotional intelligence that you need to have to be successful at your job. They're highly educated, highly adaptable, and usually we're pretty funny, you know, so that's something.
Yeah.
They were
So
like usually somewhat entertaining.
So it's funny you say that because Gary says,
Yeah.
Tom Buck used to be a teacher and he's awesome video creator. Yeah, he is great. I love his things. Yeah.
I have a picture with him. The first time I met him was in San Diego at the first Ecamm meetup at Social Media Marketing World. And I'll text you this photo later, but I was like totally like, fangirling because
Yeah,
I
I
met
know.
him and Adrian and Heather and somebody else. I think it was Rob Balabas.
Balsabas. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I just can't think of his name. And I have this selfie of me being like, I tend to intentionally take ugly selfies with people so they look great and I look terrible. And it was like all the chins, the chins, and me just like this, and them just like laughing hysterically because I was like, oh my God, I'm meeting them in real life. Let me impress them.
Yeah. Oh, and
Crushed
we got so many, everybody shouting out the teachers. Yes, so everybody loves teachers. Well,
Mm.
I would be a bad teacher if I didn't end class on time, and we are at the end of our
Oh.
time. We have so many questions, but we have to have Jill back on because there's going to be a part 2 because there's so many great things. But before we go, Jill, where can people find out more about all things Jill?
All things Jill. Okay, so you can all right, everyone promise me if you're going to check out my YouTube channel, don't do it now. Or if you do, it never happened. Don't bring it up. I have no shame. There's just old Jill is different than new Jill. And anyways, you can go to my YouTube channel, Miss Jill, in a few months. And then my email address is right down here. It's info@creativecommunicators.com. Or if you would like to chat about Ecamm and find out about that tool, you can email me at jill@ecamm.com. But yeah, send me a message. If you're someone that is like anything that I've shared today, if it resonates with you or you'd like to have a further discussion or teach your former self how to save time or like tips and tricks, and you just want to, pour into this next generation and help people out by sharing your story, please send me an email. I'll eventually share some forms. I also have a website, creativecommunicators.com. That has not been updated in a long time, but go ahead and check that out if you so choose.
Yeah, it's great. So, and it's not as horrible as she makes it sound, but I totally understand about don't go and look at old videos. Connor Brown, who doesn't have an old video because he's like 13, where can people find out about you?
Yeah, don't look at my old videos either. I mainly delete them all because of embarrassment. You can find out more about me at vacationkingdoms.com. Across the social medias at Vacation Kingdoms. Let me help you plan your next trip. You can also check me out on Instagram at Theme Park Happy Hour, sharing the best drinks around the theme parks of Orlando.
AKA Drunk Disney. That's what we were calling it internally. He doesn't like that. Yeah. No, so anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, James Hicks, Stock Rock, Gary, Dustin Stout, Amy Keys, everybody who has been watching the show. We appreciate you. Wouldn't be able to do the show without you or our friends over at Ecamm. Find out more about them at ecamm.com/Jeff. With that, we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.